Especially if it's a good shooting, we get like, good golf. Yeah. You know, he's one that just played that certain thing.
How are you? Good. How much stuff?
I was looking at it, and I think that they're gonna pull Minnesota's they're not there. They're close. They're dozen guys.
They need an extension.
That was. You see, you can go with it.
Yeah. That's the worst. Fortunately, I just we still floors out. Yes. Sometimes big man. Square away the issue set. Well, you're ready to start. Yeah, I don't think it's something. We'll do it that way. Well, here's where I was in that. No reason.
Everyone get copies of the two resolutions that were on for tonight?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And you're gonna make the statement on Clyde.
Correct. Well, Clyde isn't, they didn't need to notice. It's just an extension of Archer. Well, I mean, I'll have it here. His name, I always. For the publication. Oh, okay, very good.
Mine's on.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Yeah, so it could have been something simple. I don't know what your percent of
News Tree.
Stop.
Yeah, that whole around 125 breather. That shut down. Going southbound. Everybody on the west of terrible accident. It was safe, like DC. I work on Yeah, they want in the winter, they go like. They won't go over it, but. That's what section. That's not, yeah. But then in the summer months, they show. Like 105, 102. So like one. We're not even like 125, it's kind of like. Just the air help the guard out there. And it was a bad change. So what do you guys do? Yeah. Yeah, you kind of get tossed where you need it, like. Yeah.
Many people. Yeah, I know.
I have a friend that used to be told. No, the other one's. Did pretty good. Remember there was some. I guess it's not sure. Good to go.
Good evening, everyone. The Saraville Zoning Board of Adjustment meeting of May 22nd, 2024 is now in service. Will everyone please stand for a salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Notice of the meeting has been satisfied in accordance with Chapter 231, PL 1975, by advertising in the Home News Tribune, notifying the Sentinel Publishing Company and the Star Ledger, and also posting on the bulletin board and filing with the Borough Clerk. Roll call.
Mr. Green,
Here.
Mr. Kaczynski.
Here.
Mr. Esposito.
Here.
Mr. Emma.
Here.
Mr. Bella.
Here.
Mrs. Gottstein. Here. Mr. Castlebrand.
Here.
Mr. Sondemire. Here.
The first case tonight is 16-12, which is Clyde Auto Recycling, 6,000 Main Street.
Mr. Chairman, I'm just going to point out, I spoke with the applicant's counsel on this case. They advised me that they'd like to come back to the board's June meeting to discuss this matter, given that they weren't actually aware that today was the meeting date until a couple days ago. And there are some other outstanding issues related to the legal complexities with this particular extension. So they'd like some additional time to prepare. So this isn't technically an application under the MLUL, so no notice was required. So they didn't need to notice before, they don't need to notice now for it. So that's the spiel on that one.
So all we're going to do is schedule it for June, and you're going to notify the attorneys and all parties involved.
That's correct.
Okay.
Archer too.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. The next case is 24-06, Archer Capital LLC, River Road.
Similar story with that one, Mr. Chairman. I spoke with the applicant's counsel on that a couple days ago. And They advised me that they would be making some pretty significant changes to their proposal. And as such, they weren't prepared to proceed tonight and would like to present the board with the ultimate correct final proposal at the board's June meeting date. I will note for the record that I did review their notice. They noticed for this evening. I found both the content and timeliness of service of that notice to be sufficient to give the board jurisdiction. Thus, in my legal opinion, the board could carry that matter by voice announcement tonight without requiring the applicant to renotice either by mail or in the newspaper. So if that's okay with the board, I can make the formal announcement and we can proceed.
Board okay with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Do we need a vote on that or yes is enough?
You don't necessarily need a vote, but I think it's just unanimous consent of board members. So with that, and I believe it is unanimous consent to carry. Yes, I don't see anybody saying no. Okay, so this is the formal announcement. If you're here for the Archer Capital LLC application that's on River Road, that matter is going to be carried to the board's June 26, 2024 meeting, 7:30 PM here in the Township Municipal Building. No further notice will be required. Again, as I stated previously, the notice was good for tonight, so the board has jurisdiction over the case and they can carry the matter without any further notice being required.
Okay. The next case is 24-05. I apologize, I'll have a little trouble with the first and last name of this person. It's 25 Campbell Drive.
Mr. Chairman, I will also just point out for the record, I reviewed their notice. I found it to be sufficient as to its content and the timeliness of service of it. So in my legal opinion, the board has jurisdiction over this case. All right, sir. I'm going to need you to raise your right hand. I got to swear you in. You swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes,
Okay. Do you have any other witnesses, any other people who are going to be speaking this evening?
yes, Monsieur.
Okay.
She will help.
Maybe someone can translate.
Okay, let's get you.
But I know
Okay.
if he's a little confused, maybe we
Yeah.
come up.
Miss, I will swear,
Oh,
Suzanne, if you wouldn't mind, yeah. I got to swear you in too. Do
absolutely.
you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? And also that any translation you're going to do will be also the truth, the whole
Yes.
truth, nothing but the
I
truth?
do.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, sir.
So you're the applicant's translator, correct?
Do we need her
Sure,
name?
yes.
Do we need her name?
Need her name?
Yes.
Oh, Suzanne Proudy.
Okay. So,
I mean, he speaks fluent English. It's just sometimes some verbiage he doesn't quite get.
Give her
okay,
your
let,
name again.
Sure. Need your last name. He's a you or a really. Yes, I did say
what was your first name again? I'm sorry.
Suzanne.
Suzanne Prout, Peruti?
P-R-O-U-T-Y.
Okay, gotcha. And sir, I'm assuming your name is
Sayed.
Sayedidor? Is that pronounced
Just
that
call
correct?
Sayed.
Okay.
I have two first names.
Okay, I gotcha. You're the owner of 25 Campbell Drive?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, so why don't you tell us why you're here?
From beginning, like existing my shed, it was on proper line between Mr. George and that behind me, which is located, I forget his names. It was just right on property line. The shed, it was literally like falling down. And I have a pictures and all this information. Before this thing is fall down, I just think, let me just make it better for my neighbors and for myself to just move the shed a little bit further up front and a little bit make it bigger. The main reason I have two big reasons to make some space for my kids, for my nephews, because usually when we have some holiday, they coming out to our house. That's mean my mother, my nephews, we have a total 9. That's why when they coming, it's literally in the house, we don't have a space to keep them together. Something's breaking each time. I was like, let me just make some space where we can have some fun with my family and we can stay together instead of breaking. If someone's get hurt, we have some space over there. And second biggest reason is when I have a holiday, we have a 20 guests as usually, but because of our religion, we cannot sit like a women's and men's together in one place. We have to somehow try to keep them separately because it's not right in my religion when it's like when others someone's wives like see to each other like eye line. That's why we trying to keep them separate always. Because that's why when I have some holiday, something, some birthday and things happen, I have to just make it outside some space for the men's where we can stay and women stay inside. Like not always weather is good or middle of something, rain or something starting. Maybe in this moment I can able to have it some place where I can keep it, my guest even a little bit cover space where
I got a question I want to ask
Sir.
you. I want to make sure I understand this. You had a shed up there before and you took it down
Yes, sir.
and you put this new one up.
Yes, sir.
Did you get a permit to put this shed up?
No, I didn't even know I have to get through all this because it's happened like literally too fast. Like I called my couple of friends and I asked them, what are you thinking about it? Said, look at this, it just literally fall down. In a couple of days, we just, with my old friends, we just take it down. And literally in a couple of days, they helped me out to put it together. I didn't even know. I have to get permit because I thought when I'm putting shed, like existing shed where it was located and how it was because of the condition, what I'm doing, like trying to help out my improve it, yeah, make it better for my neighbors and for myself. I don't have any permits, no.
You didn't get any permits on it. How long did it take you to put this shed up? It's already there, correct?
Yeah. Weekend, yeah,
A weekend.
weekends. All my friends, they come in on weekends, we just put together everything.
So woodshed?
Yes, sir. It's a wood shed.
Do you know that Jersey Central Power and Light Company has easements on your property? Do you know that?
When I start getting signs from my neighbors about I forget the name, how it's saying, the signs, a letter about my couple of neighbors, they make a rebuild, they put new sheds behind me. I mean, on the same line property. And they told me after that, I just get notes. I have a power line where it's getting through and Jersey line, sometimes they have to get back to do some work. I'm not sure what exactly. They actually give me some information about it. I have some power lines going.
I want to ask you also about, I'm looking at your map here that you gave us.
Yeah.
And it has a above the ground pool there.
Yes, sir.
How long has that been up there?
Mr. George, I'm sorry, this is my neighbor, he know better than me. Probably that pool, we have 15 years or more. My pool.
Sir, if he's going to testify, I need to swear him.
I'm sorry. Okay,
I mean, it's fine. You can bring him up. I'll swear him in if he wants to
this is
come.
my next door, my neighbor who always helped me out, Mr. George.
All I want to know is how long that pool has been there.
I don't know. Yeah, I just purchased 3 years
Oh,
ago.
when you moved in, it was there.
Yes, sir.
And the same pool is still there.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
And when did he move in?
When did you move in?
3 years ago, 2020, yeah? 2020 September, yes, sir.
So you're living in this house where you're at now about 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that pool has been there for 3
Yes,
years.
sir.
You still want to hear from the neighbor?
No, I don't need to hear from him now. It's okay. Thank you. Board members have any questions concerning this?
I'm gonna correct it, everything what I have to know. I know right now, I make a big mistake before set up the paperwork to putting the shed down in that place where it is right now. I will do forever I needed to fix it, make it correct it, and put all the right things, get past to this. I just like,
These are overhead power lines?
There's overhead power lines over the back of your property?
Are they underground? They're overhead, they're not on they're not on the ground. Okay, good.
Your testimony is that they're overhead?
yes.
Mr. Chairman, I can.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand what is in your.
Thing is, if anybody,
Yeah.
if you're going to say anything, I need to have you sworn. So
I'm
I
sorry.
Appreciate your neighbors trying to, give us some information.
Sure.
Not trying to deter him, but again,
It's overhead,
it's got to come from
yeah.
you.
Mr. Chairman, I'll clarify for the board. This lot is approximately 200 feet deep. The back 200 feet is covered by a Jersey Central power line easement, and there are a series of two overhead wires that run across that 100-foot wide Jersey Central easement area. In the past, there have been applications submitted to the board that proposed improvements under the power lines, and this board required Jersey Central to review and concur with what was being proposed. So that's an issue this board should address with this application to make sure that you're not approving something that Jersey Central, who has an easement where he wants to build this, we want to make sure that they're in concurrence with what he's looking to do.
Do you understand what our engineer just said?
Almost.
Okay. I'll try and clarify it for you.
Thank you.
You can't go any further with this.
Sure.
We're not going to hear the approval or the disapproval of your shed. What you're going to have to do, you're going to have to go to Jersey Central Power and Light
Mhm.
and get approval because you have the power lines there. And they have to approve it first. When they approve it, then they come back, you bring it back to us.
Okay.
And then we'll hear the case, but we can't go any further with it. But no more work. You don't have a permit to do it as of now. So you have to stop for now. We'll hear your case, your entire shed that you have there after we get the approvals or what Jersey Central has. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
Right. So, sir, with that, what you're hearing from the board is they don't feel comfortable with proceeding to vote on your application until they have some kind of, I don't want to say guarantees, but something from JCP&L that says that you're allowed to have these structures where they,
Okay.
right?
All
So with that, I think what the board's requesting is that grant us some additional time, well, that we
All right.
have some
I'll be in touch
additional
with you
time to
on
act. Yeah.
Fine. All right.
Okay.
Thanks so much for your.
And-
Well, hold on.
When you get a hold of Jersey Central Power and Light, we're asking you to please get in touch with the zoning board
Mhm.
and keep us advised of exactly what the progress is on this, okay? So
Oh,
when you find out yes or no from Jersey Central Power and Light, then we can reschedule you or do whatever we have to do,
all right.
okay? Now,
Yes, yeah. Couple housekeeping items we need to take care of before we let you go, sir.
Thank you.
First off, Mr. Chairman, I think it would be a good idea to give members of the public an opportunity to ask questions or comment in case the applicant wants to make some changes based on public feedback. So with that, are there any members of the public who want to either ask questions of this witness or provide any kind of sworn comment on this application before we adjourn it? Going once, going twice, going three times, okay. No members of the public, duly noted for the record. All right, sir, so what, I think we have to perhaps have a little bit of discussion about when we're going to reschedule you two, because you're still on our docket and we have to, have things scheduled. Initially, I think we spoke and I know our June meeting's open, but it may take you a little bit longer to get that JCP&L approval. So I guess this is a discussion for the board, how, maybe a 2 months, 3 months?
Jay, last time, it took quite a while.
It did. That I would say was probably over a year. It took a previous application. They had a lot more encroachments they were dealing with. So maybe, but what you did, Mr. Vice Chairman, was you had, I think, given them a couple month extension, then they would follow up and say, well, we've been in progress, we don't have an answer yet. Then you gave them a couple months extension. That's how you kind of walked through it with them. So they kept you advised as to the status and you extended it. So as was indicated, maybe you start with a 60-day extension to your July meeting, see what happens. You report back and let us know. If you're ready to go for July, they can continue July. If not, you can let the secretary know the progress, and at the July meeting, they might be able to carry you for another 30 days or 60 days, whatever is appropriate.
Thanks
It
so
wasn't,
much.
it wasn't the applicant's fault, it was the power company. They're not that responsive.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, it's not the highest priority on their list. And the other thing, so if this does go for quite a while, should we renotice? Because how are people going to know?
In this situation, as I had stated at the beginning of the hearing, the applicant's notice I found to be sufficient to get the board jurisdiction. So there's two avenues at this point. Either A, you could renotice and have to send notices to everybody all over again, or B, we can just carry it by voice announcement, much like we did with the Archer Capital application. That way he doesn't have to go through that process again. And by virtue of him having noticed for this evening, anybody who would have had an interest in the application was made aware that these proceedings were happening. And if they were really that interested, they would have shown up tonight, and they would thus be aware that thing was going to be carried to July. Does that make sense?
But it goes for a long time. How are they supposed to?
I think that's what happened with the prior application you're referring to. I think you gave them a couple extensions. There was no end in sight. So then you made them re-notify after just a couple extensions. So you don't necessarily have to keep granting extensions. You can give them a certain time period and then say, we want to have them, make sure the residents are aware of this application. So then you re-notify at that point. But initially, you may want to just grant, like we talked about, a 60-day
Right.
and see where it goes from there.
My advice would be that given that it's only a 2-month break between this evening and the next hearing on this, I think a simple voice announcement is fine at this point. If we're going 6-8 months, getting further down the line, then it would probably be a better idea to have the applicant renotice as they did the first time.
We want to make it 2 months from now.
Sounds fine to me.
Perfect.
Yes.
We'll put them on the July agenda.
Okay.
We'll put you on the July agenda, but keep us advised.
I'm
Keep,
gonna be in touch with Joanne.
just keep us advised of the progress with the extension, okay?
I will. Thanks so much.
And how big is the easement on the power lines?
It's 100 feet wide. So I say he's got a 200 feet deep lot.
My existing
It's the entire width. It's the entire width of the lot, but it's across the back 100 feet. So 200 deep lot, first 100 feet has no easement, the last 100 feet has Jersey Central power lines going over top of it.
It appears like the one easement line is right on the property line, more or less.
Correct.
Very close to the property line.
Correct. It shows on the survey that it runs from the back property line, which is where the shed is, to where the concrete, into his concrete patio closer to the house. That's the 100 feet. If you look closely at the survey, you could see there's arrows that show 100-foot wide Jersey Central easement.
This would be for a shed, a pool, like an extension onto a house.
Well, it's really a Jersey Central issue, but my understanding is that they don't allow permanent structures within their easement or right of way. So the application on Bordentown Avenue that was discussed, they had proposed an addition and Jersey Central would not allow it. They had proposed parking. I think they wanted to put pavers down to allow buses to park. Jersey Central did allow that. In this case, I don't know the shed, because of the size, if the Jersey Central will consider that a permanent structure. If it was an 8x10 shed that you could possibly move, they may say that's okay. But something that's almost 800 square feet, they may have some concerns with. So that's why really Jersey Central needs to review that and decide what the magnitude is.
I'm only asking this because I think we have the same issue with the next application.
You do. Yep, and that's going to come up on the next one. Yep.
Well, preview for the next applicant.
And the thing with this is it's 799 square feet.
Yeah, the existing shed is approximately 360, and this is proposed at approximately 800.
Just for the record, that would be written documentation from Jersey Central we would need to proceed.
That's what was received last time. Actually, as I indicated, Jersey Central allowed certain things and they prohibited other things. And there was a document they provided that said that, and the board, I think, referenced that in the resolution that was adopted.
So you understand completely? You're going to get a hold of Jersey Central Power and Light Company. They're probably absolutely going to come out to the house and they're going to look and then they're going to make a decision. How long it takes, that's what you're going to have to let us know.
All right. Thank you.
Okay?
And Jay, just one last thing. Do you have like a number or who they should contact just to help the applicant out?
I can probably, on that Bordentown Avenue application, I could probably get some contact information. You're not going to call the person you would call to come for a power outage, right? They have a real estate division, and I think that's who eventually was contacted. So I can see if I can find that information. I can maybe pass it to Joan, and Joan, you can reach out to Joan.
Thanks so much for it. I appreciate it.
Thank you, that. Thank you.
All right.
Before I make the announcement and we carry it, 2 things. Number one, does anyone have any further questions, anything they want to bring up before we break? No? Okay, good. Second, similar type of question, I suppose. Given the applicant's going to have to come back anyway, does anybody have anything related to the proposal itself that they would want to have the applicant address? Either, any concerns about the size of the structure, the setbacks, anything like that? Anything that they might want to consider the next time around? I think it would be a good idea to give the applicant an opportunity to make some changes if
No. The existing is approximately 360, about 10 by 36. They're proposing approximately 800 square feet. And there are 4 other variances. So the size of the structure, 150 square feet is required. they're proposing 800. The rear yard setback is supposed to be 5, they're proposing 3. Side yard setback for the rear, 5, they're proposing 3. Building coverage between the house and the structure, supposed to be 20%, they've got 25. And the last is the overall impervious coverage, supposed to be 45, they have 47. As the applicant indicated, he is making the rear yard and side yard variance better than they currently are, because that existing shed basically sits on the back property line and the side property line. So he's proposing to move that 3 feet away, but still it doesn't meet the 5-foot required by the ordinance.
Yeah, are they opening a can of worms here? It just, if they call JCP&L and they see this pool, is that pool over these, underneath these wires at all?
Yeah.
Did they say remove that pool?
That's a possibility.
Careful of that.
But I believe there are other houses in the area where their pools are located. So Jersey Central may consider a pool not a permanent structure, because if they wouldn't probably allow an in-ground pool, but if it's an above-ground pool, they may allow it because it could be taken down if necessary. So that's really Jersey Central's call.
I think regardless of whether or not, the applicant was bringing this application, if the pool is in an easement that it's not permitted to be in, JCP&L would always have the right to, try to have it removed. So,
But if it was never approved, now may be the time to get it approved in conjunction with your shed. That way you know everything is covered.
on that front, I hate to open up another can of worms, but
Oh,
sorry. The pool, we know it's existed for a while. Do we know if a permit was ever issued for it? Because if you're coming in for the shed, if there's any variance relief that might be related to the pool, I think it would be a good time to, have that incorporated here as well. We don't know. No permits. No permits were, okay, we don't believe any permits were issued. Okay. Might want to have the zoning officer take another look at this,
Okay.
knowing that, I don't think, my assumption is that he included, because the pool was on the survey that you guys submitted, that the pool would be included in the building and impervious coverage calculations. That was my concern, because if the pool wasn't included in that you'd be probably proposing, a higher level of relief than 47 and 25 is, right. So might want to follow up with the zoning officer on that too, just to get that question answered.
Mr. Chairman, one other point. So this application is for a shed, but the testimony was that it's for a playroom or to be used by people. Well, no, I'm just, so is there a planning issue? And Jay, I know you're not a planner and our planner's not here, but you see any issue on that, or is it the attorney can also
As I
comment?
understand it, it's basically a shed that has an adjacent kind of overhead roof structure that somebody can stand under. So you could, I guess, compare it to a gazebo, but it's attached to a shed.
It's an accessory structure.
It's still an accessory structure. It's part of the coverage variances that you're already dealing with. It's part of the setback variances you're dealing with. But from a permitted use standpoint, I don't think it's an issue.
The way it's used is not matter, it's just how it exists. How it-
Correct. It's not I think it was indicated, there's not going to be utilities, no water, no sewer. It's not a business type use. It's really just for a
I used to
covering
have
area.
Existing lights, there's the same lights is gonna be there, there's 2 light bulbs.
You have electric in it, correct?
It was there, yeah, existing electric, it was.
There's electric in it already?
On that spot, on that new ones right
Yeah,
now?
yes.
Yeah, from old one, I just bring it instead of living on the floor, I just brought it inside.
Oh, in other words, you just moved it from
Yes.
the old one to the new
Yes.
one?
Yeah, inside the new shed.
There's electric, but it's not occupied. It's not going to be an
No,
occupied.
no,
It's
no.
basically a storage
I
shed.
mean, I don't have to bring in new power lines to dig the floor or anything like that, because existing owner, he did everything from inside the floor, the tube, everything's coming like the way how it's supposed to, because he bring the light and power into the pool, and it's the same place, he just continues to go into the shed.
The shed is
existing
it's used for storage.
Yeah.
That's the purpose. So it's a
Yeah.
storage shed with an adjacent overhead area for gathering.
Yes, sir.
And you say it's also a playroom, correct?
Yes, sir.
What do you mean by that?
Protect all the, protect all the walls, make sure no one gets hurt, because each time when some of my nephews is coming to my house, one of them gets hurt really hard. Luckily, sometimes it's not, because of the corner of the cabinets, the aquarium, kitchen falling down. One day from second floor stair, he just jumped down. It was like surprise for me that my holiday finished with the hospital. I said, I can't take it anymore. I cannot say don't come to our house because grandfather is here. This way, when gas is coming, I can able to just have them together, everything in one place, and let the adults stay like a little bit in quietness, nice, enjoy the time we've been together because not every day you can just be together all entire family. Like 2 or 3 holidays we have it, big holiday when really we have a lot of like people who come in to see each other.
So will,
This main
will
reason
they
is
be,
gonna be
will they be
big
eating?
kids room.
Will they be eating in there or drinking in there? Will there be a TV or anything like that?
I don't need it.
They will be actually in the shed for
Yeah,
long
it's
periods of
gonna be
time. So I don't know if that's
lots
just
of
storage.
Tons of toys where I have 2 bedrooms right now full of those toys. So literally I don't have a space. We just walk in like this because it's storage with these toys.
Right.
I'm gonna just,
No electric, there's no heat. That's all.
I don't know the winter time.
I said it's a
No.
playroom.
Winter
No,
time,
he
we're
means
not
the
gonna able to
storage
get
room
there.
for their toys and
Yeah.
things like that, all of the stuff that's.
Winter
in the
time, even
house
we're not
is
gonna
in
able
the
to
yard.
go there because we have a snow or they can able to like enjoy the moment outside of the weather.
Would it be fair to say that the primary purpose of that structure is for storage?
Storage, yes, sir.
Okay.
That's what you can put.
The issue that I'm concerned about, you have 50 feet on property line, and that covers about 42 feet going across.
Not all entire structure is a house. Probably about 8 foot. I just extend the roof to just to clean the machines. To just I can able to put it underline or all the snow cleaner, everything I can able to.
You know, I would call it quite larger than a shed. It's very big. It covers almost the whole
I
back of
mean,
your
the thing,
property.
I can just cut out that roof and remove it completely, that part of the roof, like
And
it's
make
gonna
it
be,
smaller, is
yeah,
what you're
make it
saying.
smaller. Because in the paper, when I spoke to Edward, he said, no matter how much is the roof, that much is the covers, is counting spacing. Now over there, almost 8 foot, is just that open space when you can literally walk because 2 posts on the sides is just open space completely, just a roof extended. I can just cut off and take it out that roof. This shed is gonna be, instead of 47, it's gonna be 38. Existing, it was 35.
Continue.
So what you're saying is that you'll modify this as whatever we say.
Sure.
No problem with
That
that.
part, anything, whatever you would like to. I
Okay.
can remove it from everywhere. Yes, sir.
Point of clarification, the first few things. Number one, the roof of this structure. What's below that extended roof? Is it just dirt? Okay,
Dirt.
okay. All right, well, yeah, we're not deciding tonight, but that's something for the board to consider,
Sure.
potentially requiring him to maybe cut off that roof edge.
Even
Bring down
to
the-
make it nicer to my neighbor, I didn't make it pitch to that. I make it pitch one side, make sure everything, no matter what I have going into my house, instead of like as before, no matter what I have in my roof, half of it going into my neighbor's roof, and neighbor's house yard, and like literally he see it how it's damaged, his structure, his shed, what he have it. Yeah, his fence, everything was destroyed completely through that roof. Right now I make it to one side, even we have a clear space when I can keep clean
Clean.
always. And those big raccoons, I hope I'm gonna get rid of them. Because those big raccoons, they was literally, entire family was inside that shed.
Mr. Chairman, can we ask him to bring in pictures of this?
you beat me to the punch. I was just about to bring that up.
Picturing it, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's from, do you have some? Because I was gonna.
I have an existing,
I
what it was.
don't,
Wait till next
if you
time.
do that, I gotta take your phone because then it's an exhibit. So
Okay.
then-
We'll print them out.
Next time, when you come back in July,
I will.
Print.
bring some pictures, give the board an idea of what this thing looks like. Certainly, what I was trying to get to before, if we were to require him to chop off that extended roof, that would bring down his coverage calculations a little bit. Might may even get him to, probably not, but it might get him very close to the permitted thresholds. So,
Thank you.
In addition, we also want to confirm that the height is less than 15 because the accessory structure, that's a
The height
maximum
of
that's
the
allowed.
structure is lower than 15, yeah. But because of one front point of my yard, it's higher when you go into like literally you walk in like a 5-6 step and it's going literally going down. I mean, going down completely. But
The
I just
physical
make it,
building
yeah.
is not-
Building
is
is not
not
changing. When you're walking, you can see just you going down, the building going higher. Height of the building is same.
not more than.
So when you get an opportunity, if you will take those pictures and drop them off at the zoning office, and they will make copies of them, and we'll take it from there.
Actually, two officer gentlemen, they are show up a couple days ago, yesterday probably in my house.
Yes,
They
I'm
said
one of them that
they
did
came
show
to
up.
Take a picture.
I did show up, but I didn't take pictures.
That's what they told me. We came to take a picture to see what we're gonna talk about like at tomorrow's meeting. I said, okay, no problem.
Myself and
Nice to meet you.
Vice Chairman, we were there
I
and
was
we
there.
saw what you're doing or what you have there, but we did not take pictures. We just,
I'm sure. Okay,
so if you'll do that for the rest of the board, we'd appreciate that.
all right.
And if you could, please submit them at least 10 days in advance of the
Of
July
course,
meeting. That way,
yeah.
we're gonna have to mark it as an exhibit, makes it a little bit easier. The board gets to look at it before
Sure.
When is the July meeting?
July 24th. That's what it says on the website.
Yeah. Okay, it's the 24th there.
One more question. If I can able to set up the papers a little earlier, is a possibility to move the meeting date a little further or not? It's gonna be.
JCP&L is probably not gonna cooperate, so
Once-
that's in their experience.
Once we
Alright,
make
I
that
see.
voice announcement,
Uh-huh.
you got to come back that day, otherwise the board will have to
No
dismiss your
problem.
application.
Thanks so much for it, Ivan.
I think 2 months is a good starting point. I think that's board's opinion. I don't want to speak for them, but that
Okay,
seems to be, thing. Let's not upset the apple cart with that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything further from board members before I make the announcement? Anything further from you, sir? Anything else you want to say or do before we call it a night on this?
No, no.
Okay, all right. With that, I will make the formal announcement. This matter is going to be carried to the board's July 24th, 2024 meeting, 7:30 PM here in the Sayreville Municipal Building. As I stated previously, the applicant provided sufficient notice to give the board jurisdiction over this case. So at this point, no further notice either by being published in the newspaper or being sent by certified mail to adjacent property owners or nearby property owners, I should say, will be required. So that's it, sir. We'll see you back in July.
Thank you everyone for your
So,
time.
Good night.
thank you so much. Brandon. Bring our lunch.
Next case is 24-07. Stephen, and I pronounce this correctly, Boschner, 49 Calliope. Okay, thank you.
All right, sir. I'm assuming you're Stephen Bowler? Is that
That would be
correct?
me.
Okay, and you reside at 49 Calliope Road?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm gonna need to swear you in.
Yep.
Okay, well, actually, before I do that, is there anyone else who's gonna be testifying on your behalf tonight?
Nobody.
Nobody? Just you? Okay. Lone gunman here. All right. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay, great. Go ahead, tell us why you're here, sir.
Been a resident 24 years in town. I collect antique cars. It's a hobby of mine. I've done since I was a kid. I don't do the repairs, maintenance, all that crazy stuff. Looking for more room to put some cars. The garages on the houses aren't convenient to hold a 1966 Chevy pickup truck with an 8-foot bed. To be able to pull it in and out easily. I just recently removed a 24-foot above-ground pool that was deeded on my property from when I bought the home. The garage I'm looking to put up is basically a garage. It's going to have a 10-foot door opening. I'm going to have 4 windows on it. I'm going to extend the soffits to make it look uniform with my house. It's a nice neighborhood. I don't want to throw one of those Shelter Logic tents up. I'm looking for an 18 by 30, which is 540 square feet. I believe the ordinance is 250. 150. Okay, so obviously I'm looking for bigger, but the imprint of my new garage is going to take up less of an imprint. And actually where my above ground pool was, I'm coming off the easement from Jersey Central Power and Light, which I believe everybody should have copies of my existing and my proposal and then what was existing when I purchased the house 24 years ago. It's gonna be landscaped, it's Green Valley. I'm not gonna trash. I could drive through the town and pick you 100 places where people have sheds that are. And all I'm asking to do is have a place to get out of the sun, Calliope Road. You can see the color on me. You burn standing in your driveway. I'm not at the age no more where I could stand in my driveway to wash and wax my cars.
Let me ask, is the pool already gone?
I removed the pool.
Pool's gone.
Yep. And I originally was planning on, coming up with something. I didn't want to put anything on my paver driveway as far as a shed. I don't want oil. I don't want if something leaks or something. I built a beautiful home in 24 years and I don't want to have an eyesore in my neighborhood. I wouldn't be happy if my neighbors did. Somebody put an addition on down the road for me. Looks horrible.
Mr. Cornell, can you give the board analysis of the Jersey Central Power and Light Company situation?
Mr. Chairman, unfortunately, we have the same issue that we did with the last application. This lot is 125 feet deep. The back 55 feet is encumbered by a Jersey Central easement. This lot actually has part of the tower located on the property. So I think the same concerns is, will Jersey Central allow a permanent garage structure to be built underneath their power lines within their easement?
It's not actually going to be under their power lines because I pulled it off. It's posted tower. I'm going to match it up to my existing driveway. Where my pool, there was a space between my fencing and my deck to my pool. And then the pool was on the easement according to what my documents show as far as my survey.
So point of clarification, I believe what you might be referring to, there's also a 15-foot wide drainage easement in your rear yard.
Yep.
I think that might be the easement you're referring to, but when you say.
Yeah, again, I'm not an engineer, but.
So
There's a 55-foot easement from your back property line, 55 feet towards your house. Actually, 3 feet of your house area is within that 55-foot Jersey Central easement.
So what do I do? I mean, yeah, I know, and I understand that. I mean, they come in my yard once or twice a year. I maintain the property underneath the tower. I've removed trees. I've done everything that could be done. I've had no problems with them.
You may go to them and they
And
may
now
say,
am I
we have no
better off
objection.
At this point, I ain't gonna sit and fight and argue with, Jersey Central. I don't know what the, parameters are for everything, but it might just better off moving and getting, I'm here 24 years. I got 3 daughters that live with me. All I'm looking to do is have a place to park a car. I'm not looking to put in a heliport.
Our issue is not so much your garage. Our issue is the law concerning the easement situation. We cannot make a decision on that until we get this easement situation straightened out because we have it in front of us.
And I notified them with a certified letter. I got the return card that they received it. Now, I don't know how it goes. Should somebody be here from them to say, hey, no, we're not doing this, or hey, red flags? And now what? I've already waited the time to get to this point. So now I got to wait another 4 or 5 months, possibly, if not longer, to try to contact a big animal company. That they don't care. They don't care what anybody does. They didn't care when my pool was there for 24 years, taking up a bigger footprint. My house is 3 feet on the easement. Where does it stop? I'm just trying to live and exist in Sayreville.
Goes through the application, you give him the goal to build a garage, he builds a garage, JCPenney can still come in and say, no, this has to be ripped down.
Well, it's going to be a boltable unit, so it will be able to be taken down as well as what a built-up pool is. It's not a wooden structure. It's going to be a metal structured garage. So it is capable to be removed or dismantled and not destroyed. So I'm not looking to build a foundation. I'm going to put a slab on it, 3.5 inches. I mean, I had a 24-foot round pool with a 15-foot deck. How much does 15,000 gallons of water weigh? Footprint is footprint, And again, I'm 61 years old now. I'm not going to look to fight the next 2 or 3 years in my life at this point over trying to build a garage. I wanted to do this years ago, but my kids were using the pool.
Can I ask a question? Maybe this might satiate everybody. What if you were to move the shed, well, the garage, I'm sorry, closer to the front of the house, might require you to rip up some of the driveway,
Well,
but it would be completely out of the easement and it wouldn't be a concern for the
all
board.
right, but can I move the garage onto that a little bit? But the only thing is if you look at the structure and how it's set up, hey, I got my fencing there, my gate there. I got the back door into my back of my house is right there on the very end of to the driveway, which is in line with my curbing. I mean, I could move it up 2 feet. You know, and I like the suggestions. I can move it up right up to my pavers, and if need, take out a row or two of the pavers. Absolutely, I don't have a problem with that.
It's still going to be in the easement. I'm just throwing that out there as a possible way to.
No, I love the suggestions. I was told, by the construction office that you guys come up with some pretty good stuff once in a while.
I can think more than once.
Our issue really is not the garage itself. It's the Jersey Central Power and Light. And we don't really have the authority to turn around at this point and say, yes, we need them
So
to,
put up the green shelter logic tent is the answer.
I think you would still.
So I'll save about $10,000 on putting up a tent and making an eyesore in my neighborhood.
You're still going to run into the same issue because it's going to be within that easement.
It's not permanent. That there, I could,
Relevant. What dictates is the terms of the easement. If the easement says you can have structures in here and the easement holder says you can have structures in
but
here.
my pool was there. I got permits from the township to build the deck. I'm like really confused.
I can't speak to those.
No, I know. I'm just saying, I'm me as a homeowner, I'm really super confused.
Look,
I built a deck. I had a pool for 24 years. It's on my deed when I bought the house. I'm fluid. I'm getting a little disgusted.
was the pool that you had there above the ground pool?
Yes, it was.
It was.
Mhm.
Was there a permit for it?
It was there when I had the house.
So you don't know if
I had to
there was
get
a permit?
When I redid the deck, it had an existing deck connected to the pool. But once I removed or started to do maintenance on my deck, I was required to get a permit and do the footings and go through the inspections and go through everything. So everything I've done on my house, I've been 100% on. And now I'm just like super confused. So I was able to put in pilings and build a deck and do all of that, right? And build a deck on my house with permits on that easement, which is a lot harder to remove than a metal structure.
Did you have to come before the board?
Never.
See, that's kind of the issue here because what the board is deciding tonight is whether, well, maybe not tonight. What the board needs to decide is whether or not they're going to give you a variance. That means it's a deviation from what the requirements of our local zoning, is, right? So part of that analysis is that the board has to determine whether or not your project is going to pose what's called a substantial detriment to the public good, meaning that they have to determine whether or not your project is going to detrimentally impact any of your neighbors or really the entire public, right? So in that calculus goes the consideration, okay, is it a detriment to the public if we permit a structure within an existing power line easement? The considerations could be that you're going to interfere with the power company's ability to come in and maintain their equipment, which could impact electric service to other people, in the neighborhood and throughout the town, throughout the whole state.
Understandable.
So when you're before the board, it's a higher degree of, a higher burden of proof that you have to have. When you get a permit for something just through the permit office, it means you get it by right, meaning there's, the law says you can have it, you can have it. What you're proposing here is against what the law says. Does this make sense? I'm just trying to kind of relay why it's a different type of situation.
No matter other than hearing a yes, nothing's gonna make sense tonight, just in all fairness, because I'm not looking to do anything ridiculous. If I was to go and start building this thing and doing something, obviously people drive by my house, they could shut me down from doing it. So I'm just really confused. Maybe it's time to tap out of town.
Well, maybe
that is my alternative, and I did think about that.
maybe the possibility is talk to Jersey Central. They might turn around and say, it's okay. And if they do, you come back here?
How do I even get in touch with them? They're brutal. That's like me getting a hold of Donald Trump or Joe Biden. It's not gonna happen. You know, it's just ridiculous to get in touch with anybody. It's,
You call the zoning office tomorrow, we'll provide them with contact information that they can provide to you as well as the previous application.
so
for you
I
to
could
reach out.
possibly be several more months out.
Or-
I got
or
I
you
got my
could-
answers.
you
I'll
could-
contact zoning. I don't want to waste no more of your time.
You could possibly get it, maybe if you get it right, you get it in a month, you know? Maybe they could, somebody will come out and look at it.
Honestly, totally disgusting. My house is on the easement, my deck is on the easement, my pool is on the easement. I'm looking to make a little bit of a change in the footprint of less weight and size. It takes a less of a footprint than my pool did. It's
We-
disgusting.
we
Totally
understand.
Disgusting. I appreciate everybody's help. Thank you.
Sir, I understand.
Again, I know I have to, I'll call Joan and Andrew have been fantastic with helping me.
Okay. Before you go, we got to set up a date for you to come back because I know. Okay.
I don't even know if I want to even bother coming back.
Well, would you rather have the ability to come back or would you rather not?
I'll save the money on the garage and I'll figure something out. I don't even know what to do. Honestly, I'm disgusted.
Look, let's give you maybe a month, 2 months like we were with the other applicant.
All right, whatever you want to do.
Then you got to refile if you wanted to
But here's the
proceed.
thing, I'm also ordering the unit that I'm looking to put up. And I'm gonna lose all my discounts on purchases to buy the thing. So it's just snowballing. And it's a headache at this point in my life. I don't know if I want to keep fighting it. I'll go move up North Jersey or I don't know.
Hold on.
Fucking.
Sir, we're going to take a 5-minute recess. Just hold on. We want to discuss something here first, okay?
I appreciate it. Anything we could do and just kind of hash this out, is come up with ideas, I'm in for.
Okay, so you just give us 5 minutes. We're going to take a
Absolutely.
5-minute
I'll
break.
take a walk outside and I'll come right
Okay.
back in.
Okay.
Remember, you're on video right now.
About 11 acres.
Something, isn't it?
There shouldn't be different designs.
Yes, that's all. That's gonna really impact. Just this guy, the other guy was saying, okay, so whatever, there's like this one. You can't do that.
Would it work if we, like, Jersey side of this, probably, or if we move something there, like, hey, that's, we're not moving this. So it's all. And what do other boards in the state? Do they do this?
The lawyers.
Yeah, and I mean, it was like, maybe you got over for 30 years, you've been living here, but now it's here, and sorry, the words all about here. Say this. Just or 3 feet or 2 feet, you know what I mean? I get it, maybe you got over. Nobody else. You probably shouldn't have asked. He's not. Move it forward, so he's not within that. He's. That's, I'd say. We did just the same thing. Learning about this. If I ever buy another house, you can get very fast. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, the recess, 5-minute recess is over. We're back in session again.
Can I mention something else? I also have a shed, which is within 4 feet of the tower, that Jersey Central Power and Light, and it's also on my survey. It's got a shingle roof. It's a wooden structure. This is what's confusing the hell out of me. It's within 4 feet underneath the tower that's in my yard. I maintained it, leveled it, cleared all the weeds, cleaned everything. I built 3 vegetable gardens underneath there. So I didn't have to look so much at the tower. I could look at a vegetable garden. I'm pretty meticulous on how I keep my stuff. That's why I have collector cars. But my shed is within 4 feet of this tower.
Okay. All right, first question, did you get a permit for that shed?
It was there when I bought the house.
So we don't know if there was a permit for it.
I don't know. But
So
it's
it-
never been contested.
And I'm not trying to get adversarial with you, I'm just trying to,
Yeah, oh,
so everyone understands. So if there was no permit issued for that shed, then nobody would have been, the township wouldn't have been aware of it. It wasn't allowed by, the township never reviewed it. Right. I'm sorry, the borough, my apologies. I've been saying township all night.
Another can of worms I opened up?
No, I'm just trying to
I'm
explain.
just
to you.
trying to be as truthful as I could be.
There's two, you have to understand, the JCP&L portion, easement portion of this is, well, at least when it comes to the regular municipal approvals, through the permitting office, that's separate and apart from the permits, right? So you could get permission from the town to construct it, but you might not have permission from JCP&L. And the reverse end, you might have permission from JCP&L, but you might not get permission from the township. There's two different,
Okay.
they hold an easement on your property, meaning that they have rights and they can have to control certain parts of
Totally
your property.
understand that.
Right. So with that being said, what I'm going to suggest, let me know if you would be amenable to this, and I think I'll let the board weigh in as well. We'll carry this for 30 days. Ask that you go and try to get approval from JCP&L for this. In 30 days, I think it's, what would be, June 22nd would be the meeting. The board will reassess whether or not it wants to require that you get that JCP&L approval before it votes on the application.
If I was to move the garage more forward, how much more forward would I have to go?
You'd have,
Besides 55 feet?
to be out of that easement, you're going to have to chop up your driveway. See, because you're here, right? It's probably very difficult for you to see. You're here, the easement line runs like directly, basically at the end of your driveway. It's got to be, forward of that, the line, which I don't think you want to do. You have a very nice driveway.
I'd look like Tangletown.
Right.
You don't want to do that.
Right.
No, I won't do it. I'm serious. I won't do it. I ain't gonna devalue my house or the value of the houses in my neighborhood. I have fabulous neighbors.
Right.
I'm here for 24 years for a reason.
And I'm glad you brought that up because that's also the board's concern. They have to weigh what impact your proposal is going to have on the neighborhood. And again, this is why we make we're very concerned about the JCP&L easement, because again, if there's some kind of interference with their ability to get in there and maintain the power lines, the whole neighborhood doesn't have power. I mean, that shit, probably half the state won't have power. I don't know how these things are connected, but I would imagine that
I'm
probably carrying.
3 houses off of Oak Tree.
Okay,
They have that whole access going straight down the power line.
right.
They won't even come nowhere near the garage. They would never do. What would they have done with my pool? Tell me to take my pool down?
Theoretically, JCP&L, if they, again, I haven't
So
seen, I haven't reviewed the easement.
theoretically,
Look, I don't know what the terms of the easement are, but I know that it gives JCP&L rights to control what happens in that area. So they could very well say, oh, that pool should never been there, got to take it out. Granted, you already did, but. Yeah, or the shed, or anything in that area. Theoretically, again, I haven't reviewed. it.
And
I don't wanna say
I've
it.
gone through with them, cutting down trees and, and I understand the power outages and, the world we live in now, unfortunately. So I get all of that.
So why don't we
It's just common sense.
why don't we do this? We're going to schedule you to come back on the 26th of June. That's a month from, it's the, 26th of June.
Okay.
And I'll get a hold of the construction office and Joan
Yes,
and Andrew have been phenomenal.
tomorrow morning, you're going to get a hold of the construction office and they're going to give you the special number for Jersey Central Power and Light because it's not the one where you call up.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
And you're going to tell them what the problem is and see what you can do and come back here next month. We're going to put you on the agenda for next month and then we'll figure out what we're going to do for
I will
when,
call them 5 times a day.
okay, 10 times a day.
Oh, I'm relentless.
Sir, I might be speaking out of turn because I don't know, I'm not too familiar with JCP&L's processes, but my thought is that perhaps, given that so many people probably are in a similar situation like you are, as you just explained,
Mhm.
there may, and again, I don't know this for certain, but I would expect that perhaps they have a document that applies to everybody who's in a similar situation that says, okay, if to everybody who's got a power line running through the rear yard, here's what you can and can't do. As long as you get something like that from you, I think we're okay with proceeding.
No, absolutely. And
so
if I do construct something, and then if there is a problem, I'm constructing it knowingly that it may have to be deconstructed. So I get that.
Right.
You know,
You don't
so-
want to, do you want to really, yeah, you
I
don't want
have
to go build
24
something.
years, they haven't done nothing. So
Exactly.
maybe it's time. I don't know, but,
Right. Well, let's hope not.
and I get it. I'm not that, I've been in construction for a long time. So I kind of get things. All I want to do is just live. I'm getting to the point of retirement. I want to enjoy my cars. My 22-year-old drives a 1972 El Camino.
But we're not against your application. We know you only need
The
one
law is the law.
variance. We need one variance. It's the law that we have to
I
go
respect
by.
that. It's nothing personal to anybody here, believe me. I don't have a problem with that.
personal against you either.
No, I know that. It is what it is. It's part of knowing when you buy the house, what you do, but
Exactly.
24 years ago, we all thought differently.
Okay, so that's. what-
Fabulous. I'll see you on the 26th. I do. I appreciate your suggestions. The only thing is, and I will be on Jersey Central.
And one way or the other, you'll be here on the 26th
I
first,
will
right?
be here on the 26th.
Okay, very good.
Godspeed, sir. And then let me just
Joe,
real,
thank
real
you.
quick, I'll just make the voice announcement as I announced earlier. Actually, I may not have announced it earlier, but I found this application's notice to be sufficient to give the board jurisdiction over this case for this evening. Thus, we're going to carry this to, what was it, June 26, 2024, 7:30 PM here again at the Sayreville Municipal Building. No further notice will be required. That means you won't have to go publish anything in the newspaper. No, you won't have to send anything out in the mail. You just have to come back. So by virtue of me making this announcement to anybody who's out there in the public who's interested in this application, that's the next date we're going to be considering it. You're not going to be receiving further notice. So that's, sorry, I have to do the announcement. It's the law requires it, but that's the spiel. So we'll see you on the 26th. sir. Best of luck.
I appreciate your time.
And the last thing I want to mention to you, when you call them tomorrow, mention to them that it is the 26th and, you know, there's a time limit here that we have, that the board has you coming back. So, and we would like them to move on and expedite it as quickly as they possibly can. Okay?
I promise you, I'll be on
Okay.
it.
Not that we couldn't carry it again at that point
No,
in time. if
no,
you-
I don't
if
want to
close,
keep
but-
dragging this out because, you know, the hot weather's coming and I want to get out of the sun.
But hopefully that will at least light a fire under them to hopefully get, be responsive to you.
I'll figure it out. I got a couple people to call, but
Okay.
again, thank you, folks. Enjoy.
Thank you, sir. Best of luck.
Empty room, you're doing good.
Sure.
Thank you.
Ryan.
Mr. Chairman, on this, so it's either our attorney or engineer. We get an application that comes in, just talking hypothetical, same scenario. We can technically approve it, or we can't approve it without JCP&L's approval. I'm just trying to figure out what the law is.
Contingency, if, like, we're good if JCP.
Like, I know if we approve it and then JCP&L comes in and says, no, we want that structure removed, you have to remove the structure. But are we, like you were saying, we're independent of them.
Right. So
So is it a gamble? Like, say, if we approve a structure like that?
Or essentially it is, right? So I think that's why the motivation was to have him come back. And we're speaking in generalities, so not just on that application, because that,
But yes, yeah.
right. I've seen this done in other towns where it's treated as an outside agency approval. You get approved, you got to go get that outside agency approval in order for your, variance relief to be valid, right? The risk with doing that, though, is, as you mentioned, fool's errand, or we're going to approve something that they're just going to throw away anyway. And especially in this circumstance where, you're dealing with power line easements that these are going to be constructed within. As I was trying to get to earlier, that there's a bearing on whether or not that's going to have a substantial detriment to the neighborhood,
Mhm.
right? So that's kind of why, it kind of makes sense in this circumstance to ask him to come back. But legally speaking, it's not a bar to rendering a decision, but it's just good practice to make sure that they have these things all the ducks lined up in a row before you go through with the approval, right? So hopefully that explains it. If I can clarify anything, let me know.
Yeah, so if we have, again, in general, we have an applicant that just like is very pushy, doesn't want to go through the process, or is going through the process, just taking way too long and just wants to roll the dice, we could technically approve it.
Yes, but I would strongly advise that any approval like that would be conditioned upon them getting
Yes,
that outside
okay.
agency approval at some point in time.
Mr. Chairman, if I might add, I think the problem in this case is that it made its way here. Really, this is something that should have been flagged before the application was submitted. And I had a conversation with Mr. Mashansky. He indicated he didn't notice the Jersey Central line when he looked at the survey. If he would have noticed it on these applications, he may have handled it differently before it was scheduled before the board. So I think going forward, I think I'm going to make a phone call to Jersey Central, see if I can get this resolved for myself. This way the board, I can advise you in the future if they have certain standards with, you can do this or that underneath the power line, that way you know that. And in the future, if it comes up, you'll know how to deal with it. But I just know based upon that prior application that some of you board members may recall on Bordentown Avenue, where they had a number of structures in Jersey Central. Jersey Central wanted to see that and they restricted what could be done on that property. If you would have gone ahead and approved it and the applicant had proceeded, I'm not your attorney, but I would have some liability concerns. If you tell them they can do something and they do it and spend their own money, and then they're told that they have to take it down, somebody could come back to you and say, maybe that's a board issue. You're liable.
I don't,
Possible.
I don't believe so, but at this, I haven't researched the issue.
Anyone can sue anyone.
Yeah.
Anyone can sue.
Anyone can sue anyone.
Exactly.
I think-
Want to be the test case,
Process.
where we're
From a
going.
perception standpoint, I think that there may be some issues with some.
When you get into that situation, it's best that we just turn around and say, get the approval first before we rule, because if, like you said, everybody can sue anybody, they can turn around and we're gonna have a liability here. So it's best just to turn around and say, get the approval first.
I would agree with Jerry, maybe maybe there's something in the application process that can notify people if you have an easement, you
Okay, no worries.
prior approval from whoever has the easement, something to keep it from, like Jay said, getting to
And
our.
I think what Jay said is correct.
Yeah.
Before it gets to our board, let them take care of it at the zoning office, get the approvals, then come here. That way we don't get this kind of a situation
And
again.
there wouldn't be any liability, like, as far as like JC P&L
What do you mean?
and like, say if we granted, like, take 10 approvals and did JCP&L wouldn't sue us or take action against us.
No, you can have.
This would just be the
There are
homeowner,
many
property owner.
circumstances, well, that's why we require an outside agency approval as a condition.
Okay.
Because there's many circumstances that, I mean, not too many, but a lot some that I've run into where they don't get that outside agency approval. Typically, it's usually with DEP, not a private utility company. But yeah, and that just completely throws the project out the window. I mean, I've never seen an applicant in that circumstance sue the board for that because I don't understand what the board's liability would be. It would really just be a matter of, I mean, you get the approval from the board, you decide to act on it one way or another. We're just deciding whether or not the proposal as it's presented, variance relief, that they're entitled to variance relief. It's not necessarily that we're saying, oh, you can go build a structure under any circumstances and totally rely on what we're telling you. It's more so that you have the approval under the state, under the MLUL to go do what you're asking to do on the board. That's it. So, I mean, granted, all the caveat, I haven't researched the issue thoroughly enough to tell you 100%, but those are my instinctual reactions to it at least.
And a 1,000,001 shot, you go ahead and give an approval to put the garage up. He's out in the garage one day and Jersey Central didn't rule on it. And a wire comes down at a hurricane or some storm or something and there's damages, then, oh, well, the board gave us permission to do it pending, could be there.
And Jay, I think in that other case that you were talking about, I think some things had to be removed because they were there. And then when she had to go get permission to ask, it opened up the can of worms and things that were there had to be removed.
The property has restrictions on it. That Jersey Central right-of-way has restrictions, and unfortunately, we don't know the specifics of the restrictions. That's why I think we're being kind of conservative to make sure that the person who has the restrictions is okay with what's being done in their easement area.
And of course, the other issue is he bought that house knowing that those easements were there. He knew all that stuff.
He may not have known that the pool required a permit, never got it, or the shed required a permit, never got it, or maybe it was approved by Jersey Central.
Right.
We don't know that, but coming forwards with something new, that's why the issue's coming up, just to make sure that the board is approving something that is allowed based upon the restrictions.
Right.
You have that on file somewhere?
What? Permit?
The initial approvals, if there was for the pool, there was for the shed, and when you bought the property 30 years ago, wouldn't that, you should paperwork somewhere?
It should, but you might not. Oftentimes municipal records get lost and destroyed. Who knows what happens? You think there would be something.
I think we did the right thing with this.
Listen, you know why you have an attorney here? To listen to him.
An attorney and an
I say.
engineer.
Yeah. I think more credit to Chatham. Before we, Jay, quick question for you. I hate to put you on the spot. This might not be an applicable requirement to residential applications, but I know in other towns that I cover, if it's a major site plan or something like that, we'll require that the applicant submit any deeds, easements, or covenants affecting the property. Is there a similar requirement here in Sayreville?
or your major site plans and subdivisions is typically
Right.
required. You'll ask for a detailed survey.
Right.
Here, mom and pop
residential.
applications, you basically walk in with an existing survey. You'll
Right.
pencil sketch yourself what you want to do. It's not prepared by a licensed engineer or surveyor because the cost for somebody to put up a shed would be exorbitant if you're going to make them get a new survey and have everything drawn out. So
Yeah, I'm talking about existing easements, like, will require applicants to submit like, yeah, the JCP&L easement, for example, it was on a commercial lot.
typically for
Yeah.
your bulk variance applications,
That's
that's
not a
not a requirement. no.
Okay, okay. Just, yeah. So again, if this was like a major site plan application, then we would
You'd
have
have
the
all that
easements and we
information.
know ahead of time whether or not this would be permitted. Or well, at least we might have an indication. I don't want to
And the major site plans, you would have an engineer prepare the plans who knows the restrictions, who
Right.
knows that I need a DEP permit. I'm just not arbitrarily saying I'm going to get it. I know based on experience that this is something that we should be able to get. So that's why it's an after the fact condition. You'll grant approval, they should be able to get it after the fact.
Right. It's like a double-edged sword with making the restrictions less onerous on residential apps.
Yeah.
Getting all the information you sometimes need. So that's it. I'll get off my soapbox.
Okay, the next. Anyone from the public wish to speak on anything not related to the pending applications or litigation? Not seeing anyone from the public here wishing to speak on any of those issues, we have two resolutions. First one is 2402, Paul Sislo. Has everyone had the opportunity to read the moralization on Paul Sislo's application from last month?
Yes.
Sir.
Yes.
It's the pleasure of the board regarding this moralization.
Mr. Chairman, I move the resolution be approved as written.
Roll call.
Was anybody not present for that last meeting? I think everybody here was here. Yeah. Okay, John's got this. Okay.
Yes.
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 Second application is John and Joanna DeMild from 2 William Street. Has everyone had the opportunity to look over that moralization of that resolution?
Yes.
The pleasure of the board concerning that application.
I move the resolution be approved as written.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Gazzetti?
Yes.
Mr. Esposito?
Yep. Yes.
Mr. Castlebrand?
Yes.
Mrs. Constance?
Yes.
Mr. Dello?
Yes.
Mr. Tony? Yes.
Joan, tomorrow, would you notify Mr. Sislo that we did moralize that and he can pick up the permits? Has everyone had the opportunity to look at the minutes from last month's meeting?
Yes.
The pleasure of the acceptance of the minutes from last month.
I move that the minutes be approved.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of last month's meeting. Roll call.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Gazzetti?
Yes.
Mr. Esposito?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Enoch?
Yes.
Mr. Castlebrand?
Yes.
Mrs. Constance?
Yes.
Mr. Dello?
Yes.
Yes.
Make a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Meeting's adjourned.
Technically, the chair can unanimously adjourn the meeting. I'm serious, you got it.